person. Okay, good evening, everyone. As you may have noticed, we have some temporary air conditioning tonight. So hopefully the noise isn't too loud, but also hopefully it'll keep the temperature down a bit. So any news on when it'll be fixed properly?
It's been looked at.
It's being looked at. So we've got a temporary measure at the moment. So you're going to read that?
Yeah, thank you, everybody. I think the first thing to say, I know I'm echoing horribly, you will need to speak right into your microphone so that we make more noise than the air conditioner, but you really don't want to be in here with the air conditioner off. So we'll do our best, and if anybody can't hear what's being said, please let me know. I understand that the system mutes out that noise, so Councillor Galsworthy joining remotely can hear us probably better than we can hear ourselves in the chamber. I will just very quickly do the usual reminders because Councillor Galsworthy is joining us remotely. So the usual thing, Councillor Galsworthy, if you just stay on mute, only come off mute when you are asked to speak or when I ask you to vote on a matter, because I will have to ask you to tell me orally what you're voting. You will need to raise your hand when you want to speak, and we'll keep an eye out and try and make sure you get called in the right sequence if you want to speak. And then once you have spoken, if you put yourself back on mute. And as I've already said, when it comes to voting, I will need to ask you to do that orally. If you do have to leave or if you drop out for any reason, hopefully we'll notice if your screen freezes as we've done before, but you will need to remember that you can't vote on any item where you haven't heard the whole of the debate. So if Democratic Services can then start the meeting formally, I'll hand over to you, Mr. Mayor, to open the meeting.
Apologies. Brindle Dark ISO. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Merthyr Tydfil County Borough Council full council meeting on Wednesday, the 16th of June, 2023. Please note that this meeting has been recorded and may be broadcast via the authority's internet site. The images and sound recording may also be used for training purposes within the authority. Okay, thank you. Agenda item number 1, apologies for absence.
I know we have apologies from Councillor Gareth Richards.
Okay, thank you. So, Councillor Roberts.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Also, apologies from Councillor Kevin Gibbs and Councillor Jamie Scriven. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Roberts. Okay, anyone else? Is that everybody accounted for? That's everybody accounted for. Declarations of interest. Members are reminded of their personal responsibility to declare any personal and prejudicial interest in respect of matters contained in this agenda. In accordance with the provisions of the Local Government and Finance Act 1992 relating to Council Tax, the Local Government Act 2000, the Council's Constitution and the Members' Code of Conduct. Are there any declarations of interest? No, no one is indicating. Okay, agenda item number 3, minutes of previous meetings. Okay. So to approve the minutes as accurate, the minutes of the following meetings. 3A, annual general meeting and mayor's installation, 17th of May. 3B, full council, 19th of April 2023. 3C, full council, 25th of April 2023. 3D, cabinet, 19th of April 2023. 3E, cabinet, 25th of April 2023. 3F, cabinet, 17th of May 2023. Okay, my computer is playing up. Just about 3G, combined governance and audit committee, 17th of April 2023. 3H, combined governance and audit committee, 6th of June 2023. 3I, Governance and Audit Committee, 24th. Apologies, is that better? Okay. 3I, Governance and Audit Committee, 24th of April 2023. 3J, Planning and Regulatory Licensing, 26th of April 2023. 3K, Planning, Regulatory and Licensing, 24th of May 2023. 3L, Licensing Committee, 6th of April 2023. 3M, Licensing Committee, 30th of April 2023. 3N, Licensing Committee, 24th of May 2023. 3O, Scrutiny Corporate and Resources, 25th of April 2023. 3P, Scrutiny Regeneration and Public Protection, 2nd of May 2023. 3Q, Scrutiny Social Services, 18th of April 2023. And finally, 3R, Scrutiny Neighbourhood Services, Countryside and Planning, 15th of May 2023. Sorry about the large number, but it's due to the lack of meetings. Okay, yeah, so Councillor Thomas.
I'd like to move the minutes, Mr. Mayor.
A second, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions?
So Councillor Geraint Thomas has moved. That's who we need. Councillor Andrew Barry.
Yeah, he did. Yes.
I don't think anything would have been.
Yeah, you seconded that, didn't you, Councillor Barry? He did, yeah. Yeah. Any questions? Any comments? No, take that to the vote then, please.
And can I ask Councillor Ernie Goldsworthy, are you voting for, against or abstaining?
Yeah, four, please, yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Goldsworthy. And that's carried, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Agenda item number 4, Corporate Asset Management Plan 2023 to 2038. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah, proposer for that, please. Yeah, Councillor Sim.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, the Corporate Asset Management Plan 2023 to 2028, report author Lisa Emerson. The Corporate Asset Management Plan, attached in Appendix 1, is closely linked to the Corporate Wellbeing Plan and also links with the Medium-Term Financial Plan and Workforce Plan, the Digital Strategy and Service Asset Management Plans. In line with the statutory requirements, it also aligns with the Decarbonisation Plan and the Local Development Plan. The previous asset management plan expired in 2019, and a working draft of this asset management plan has been in place since 2021, setting out major projects, an action plan and key performance indicators. The draft was presented to Scrutiny Committee in March 2022. Presentation of the final draft to full council has been delayed due to an external audit of the council's asset management planning and the need to fully align the final plan to the council's new corporate wellbeing plan. The summary of the report is outlined in 1.1. Good asset management is a critical component in delivering the corporate wellbeing plan and supports the council's corporate objectives. Reviewing and planning how we make better use of our property assets efficiently and effectively for the long term is essential. The adoption of the Corporate Asset Management Plan will provide a strategic framework for supporting good asset management principles across the council's property portfolio. 2.0, the recommendations that 2.1, the Corporate Asset Management Plan 2023 to 2038 be approved. I move, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. And stand Councillor Andrew Barry is seconding that.
Happy to second that, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Barry. Any questions? Councillor Clive Jones, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've got a few, but before I ask my questions, can I move a correction which is there right throughout the report? And I give an example on page 78. First full paragraph at the top of the page. last sentence, when we refer to Merthyr CBC and further on Cwmtaf Health Board, it is, as we know, Merthyr Tydfil County Borough Council and Cwmtaf Morgannwg Health Board. My first question, Mr. Mayor, is on page 80, under the heading Asset Portfolio. And there are a few dots there. Second dot down refers to the total number of buildings that the council own. Could I ask, perhaps the cabinet member may know, but I'm sure one of the officers will know, how many of those buildings contain asbestos, and how do we deal with that? Because my understanding, it's in particularly the older properties, asbestos is present there.
Yeah, Councillor Simmons.
Mr. Mayor, can I call in Lisa Emerson, please?
Thank you, Lisa.
Hi, afternoon, everybody. So we have an asbestos management plan. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but I'm sure Chris Jones and his team will be able to confirm that separately.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Could we, all elected members, have an email indicating how many of those 270 buildings contain asbestos and what is the programme to deal with it? And if we've got maintenance issues, how is that dealt with? How is that? I'm looking at it, Lisa, and talking to what I'm asking for is an email sent to all elected members, given that information and how we deal with that, and particularly maintenance people go in there, sometimes at short notice. How are they told, don't be careful in that area because there is designated asbestos?
Certainly, we can arrange for that information to be provided, but there's there's an asbestos management plan in place, and they'll be held. The asbestos registers are held at every building.
Yeah.
I think Chris might want to come in and add to that.
Yeah, thank you. Chris Jones, please.
Yeah, thanks. Yes, Councillor Jones, just to let you know, there's an asset register that's kept in every building, and contractors are aware of this, and they are told when they turn up to do work, they are to look at the asbestos register prior to any work being carried out on our buildings.
Okay, thank you for that. I like with the answer. My other questions on page 82, in the middle of the page under the heading Capital Programme. And if you look under the heading Capital Expenditure, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 there. Miscellaneous for 2023-24 is 12,324,000. Now, the word miscellaneous can mean a lot of things. What specifically is contained under the heading miscellaneous? Because it's a large amount of money.
I think possibly Steve Jones may be best placed to provide that information on the capital programme.
Thanks, Steve.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. What I'm trying to do is to get the report up at the moment to see if I can.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, I can't hear him.
The capital programme.
Yeah, sorry, I'm guilty as everyone. Can we all make sure to speak really close to the microphone, because this is very loud, particularly up here with the air conditioning. So we can all speak close to the microphone. Thank you.
Apologies, but I'm just trying to find the original capital report.
Councillor Jones, if you have other questions, is it worth you going on to
Right.
those and then coming back? Well,
Okay.
allow Steve some time to find the report,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
figures.
Yes, that's fine, Ellis. The other questions on page 93, so still appendix 1. And right less than 1.5 way down is heading green space cutting equipment, phase 1. Warden equipment to ensure excellent outdoor play and community space and the prevention of vermin. My understanding currently is we haven't got a pest control officer. I think the current one is off sick. So how do we deal with that if we haven't got a pest control service operating?
Councillor Michelle Jones. Simmons, sorry, beg your pardon.
May I ask Officer Alan Owen to take that one from me, please?
Alan?
Yeah, as you're aware, we currently have a difficulty in the service, whereby the main pest control technician is off sick. We are looking at alternative provisions in the meantime. Mr. Paul Lewis, the head of service, met with the environmental health manager today, and we'll be coming back to members with a proposal on how we rectify that position in the next week.
Thank you for that answer, Alan. Perhaps again, all the elected members can be notified if we got alternatives going to be provided, so that we can then tell the residents. Okay, thanks.
Thank you. I think we've got an answer to your previous question now.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, and the majority of that is £9.5 million, and that is in respect to the expenditure for the Hoover and the former bus station site, and that's funded through a Welsh Government loan. So that's the major part of that expenditure, which is £9.5 million. There's another £1 million then, which is for the replacement scheme in a playgrounds. So that's over £1 million. And we've also got £850,000, and that is in respect of expenditure on DFG grants.
Okay.
So those are the major items then making up that amount.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any other questions? No, it's indicating. Are there any comments then, please? No comments. So we'll take that to the vote then, please, Monitoring Officer.
Councillor Goldsworthy, can I ask you if you are voting for, against or abstaining, please?
For.
Thank you. And that's carried, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Agenda item number 5, sufficiency of nursery education for the County Borough of Merthyr Tydfil. Consider the report of the Chief Education Officer, and it's Councillor Michelle Jones who is taking this, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Oh, one moment. You just go away. Oh.
Sorry, Councillor Roberts.
Yeah, just one observation, Mr. Mayor, and I don't know how you want to deal with it, Monitoring Officer. I can see that Councillor Thomas has moved across the seat. So his vote is registering as Gareth Richards rather than as his own.
Thank you. You could probably see I was looking to try and see whether Councillor Thomas was voting. That's really helpful. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Councillor Roberts. Back to Councillor Jones then, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I'd just like to pass on my thanks to Anthony Lewis for his continued hard work and for writing the report presented for us today. So as noted in the summary, the report sets out a 3-yearly update on the provision of nursery education for the County Borough following a previous council report in January 2020. Improvements have been made in the supply of nursery education places as detailed in 4.2 and 4.3, and as a result, the provision of nursery education places has continued to improve over the last 3 years, and this position is summarised in Table 2, Section 4.7, and shows that the average number of three-year-olds delayed access to a nursery education place each year is on average around 3% of applications, which is between 11 and 28 children, which compares to the 3-year average in 2020 of nearly 8%, which is between 59 and 80 children. Where this delay occurs, due to school nurseries being full, this happens usually in April and then sometimes in January, and means some children are unable to access a part-time place in their parents' preferred school. As stated in 4.8 and 4.9, where first preference schools are full, parents are offered an alternative part-time place in nearby schools within walking distance, and are also made aware of the 4 childcare settings that are registered education providers, which is REPs in the report, another acronym for us to learn, which also provides nursery educational places. For those interested, these are Little Rascals, Fantasia and Clich Meithrin, which are all located in the ICC, and which is in Pentrabach, and the Clich Meithrin in Town Carmel. Some parents will accept a second preferred school place, but most will wait for a place in their preferred school in September. Of those waiting to take up a place in September, some will take up a part-time nursery place at an REP in January or April, but others don't take up any nursery education place, meaning their child misses out on 1 or 2 terms of part-time pre-nursery education. This number of pupils missing out on 1 or 2 terms of part-time pre-nursery education is low and falling, as per the figures from Table 2, Section 4.7, referenced above, that is between 11 and 28 children on the latest 3-year average. The report concludes, as noted in 1.2 and 1.3, and which is detailed in 4.15 and 4.26, that the Council is able to secure sufficient provision of nursery education in both Welsh medium and English medium, or as in the report is WM and EM for the County Borough. This is particularly noteworthy for WM places, as there was not sufficient provision when Council considered this position back in 2020. Since then, additional nursery education places have been provided at Ysgol Santes Tydfil, at the Seedland School at Saflar Gurnos, and work is ongoing to provide additional nursery educational places at Ysgol Rhyd y Grug. As a result, no children have had delayed access to Welsh medium nursery provision place in the last 2 years, which I'm sure our Welsh champion will be pleased to hear. There have also been continued improvements, reducing the number of children delayed access to an English medium nursery education place, as per 4.19 and 4.20 of the report. The report also provides an update on the nursery education admissions policy at Section 5 and the nursery education strategy for pre-nursery and nursery education places in Section 6. So referring you to our recommendations at 2.1, that the nursery education provision for the County Borough as set out in 5.2 be determined as sufficient and be approved. I so move, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Do you have a seconder, please?
Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions, please? Councillor Clive Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My question is on page 108, and it's just been referred to by the Cabinet member under 4.7, and it indicates a clear improving trend in the number of children allocated a place over the last 3 years, and a steady decline was potentially being delayed across to a nursery education place. I think we all welcome that. My question is, again, to the Cabinet member or Sue, or both. At a recent governing body at Cyfarthfa Park Primary School, those people will know that from last September, we've increased the number of nursery spaces available on the Brecon Road site, and we now can provide full full day time nursery. But the most recent figure we've got is that of the 48 spaces, we've only got 35 so far who are asked to been provided in nursery education in September. But when we discuss this as a governing body, it appears that the number of parents applying for nursery has not only declined in Carmarthen Park Primary, but throughout the county borough. And I think reference was made, perhaps it may be that the COVID epidemic had something to do with that. So I wonder if either could confirm that's the current situation for nursery in Merthyr Tydfil.
Thank you, Councillor Jones.
Thank you, Councillor Jones. I'm sure we're all aware that birth rate is down throughout the whole of Merthyr, and this is something that we are seeing through all of our primary schools. The intake is low. However, I would just like to pass this question on to Anthony to see if he wants to elaborate any further. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Jones. You're right, the birth rate has been falling. Sorry, can you hear me? The birth rate's been falling for the last few years, and so we have seen a reduction in the total numbers accessing nursery education. We do track the numbers of pupils who access a place in reception class, and then we consider what percentage of those would access a nursery education place. That's okay. So I start again. Okay. So the birth rate has been falling. As per Councillor Michelle Jones, that's been happening over the last few years. And we've seen that the numbers in nursery education are lower across the board. Okay.
Right into it.
I'll try again.
Yeah, that's
Better.
better.
Better. So birth rates have been falling, and we've seen lower numbers in nursery education across all of our schools. We do track the numbers in reception class, which obviously is the start of statutory education, with the numbers that we're accessing a nursery education place. And that allows us to determine if there's a fall in the numbers to access a nursery education place that are choosing to access one. So based on those figures, around 95 to 96% of all pupils who access a place in reception also access a place in nursery. That's a number that's been consistent over the last 5-6 years. We haven't seen a reduction in those eligible actually applying. So that there's no evidence that we've seen to date in terms of any impacts from COVID.
Right, right. And through you haven't any idea if, or estimates, if the birth rate is on its way back up?
The latest information that I've been given shows that in 2021, the birth rates were up slightly on the previous year. I haven't got access to any other information.
Right. Okay. Right. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Jones. Councillor Lisa Midden, can you speak right into the microphone, please, Lisa?
Oh, yeah. Bless you. Mr. Mayor, apologies to the Cabinet member. This is a question about the air conditioning. And I'm not an air conditioning expert, but I quickly glanced and checked with my colleagues, but we can't feel any impact of it. So the impact that it's having is we can't hear anything. I wonder whether it's, and I do appreciate the offer of having the aircon in here. I wonder whether either we manoeuvre those lovely tubes or we switch it off, because we really can't feel any impact, honestly. So it's just a consideration. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah. Anybody's thoughts on that? Is everybody in agreement with turning it off and seeing if it has any impact? Yeah. So we'll try turning it off, and hopefully the temperature won't increase too much.
Or wiggle in the pipes. I don't know, but I can't feel anything, any difference. No, I asked.
Oh, that's better. Quiet. Was that your only question, Councillman? No, it was a valid point. Thank you. So, any further questions on this? No. Are there any comments? Yeah, Councillor Simmons, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As a Cabinet member alluded to, as Welsh Language Champion, it is welcomed news, and a huge thanks to our officers working with our external partners, such as the Cylch Maithrons, and to ensure that there is no delayed access to Welsh medium education. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Are there any other comments? No, so we'll take that to the vote then, please.
Councillor Goldsworthy, are you voting for, against or abstaining, please?
For, please.
Thank you. And that's carried, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. So agenda item number 6, Merthyr Tydfil County Borough Council Decarbonisation Plan 2023 to 2030 to consider the report of the Chief Officer Neighbourhood Services, and that's Councillor Michelle Simmons, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Merthyr Tydfil County Borough Council Decarbonisation Plan 2023 to 2030, report author Julie Taylor. In 1.0 summary of the report, it's outlined 1.1 to 1.4. Welsh Government declared a climate emergency in 2019 and are aiming to achieve a carbon neutral public sector by 2030. In response to this, Merthyr Tydfil County Borough Council has produced a decarbonisation plan 2023 to 2030 to be adopted and approved by Council. This will provide a clear, planned way forward to progress towards net zero and the reduction of carbon emissions. The decarbonisation plan sets out 6 key themed areas that include buildings and planning, travel and transport, procurement of goods and services, outsourced service, namely the Leisure Trust, land management and governance. These are to provide a focused, planned approach with action plans. This plan will be delivered through a programme management approach. Within this council report, at section 4, each of the themed area has provided an update of work to date in that area to demonstrate the progress and work towards reduction of carbon emissions. This will provide members with an in-depth understanding of the council's commitment to decarbonisation and how this is integral to all areas of council service delivery. 1.4, the council is working towards external accreditation to achieve the ISO 5001, the Energy Management System Standard, and the Bronze Award of the One Planet Standard. 2.0, the recommendations are the 2.1, that the Merthyr Tydfil County Borough Council Decarbonisation Plan 2023 to 2030 in Appendix 1 be approved. I move, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor David Hughes.
I second that, please, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Councillor David Jones, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Unfortunately, I've got a few questions. Page 119, 412, it says about the Penedre Wire project. Are the cells going to be roof or ground mounted or both? And will that affect any green space used for recreation or school use?
Yeah, Councillor Simmons.
To Julie Taylor, please.
Hi, I was just going to ask if Chris is on the line, if he could answer the question, because he's had a lot more involvement in the project.
Yes, thank you. They're all going to be ground mounted, Councillor Jones, and they're proposed to be on the old Goitra Pond site. So at the back, so it's not recreational use. It'll be use. We're working with our ecologists as well to keep as much ecology and maintain as much green land as well as possible, as much as possible.
So no recreation land and no school use land?
No.
Okay, thank you for that one, Chris. 4.1.3 then, the wind farm regional project. How long will this project scheme last? It says that there's a share between Merthyr Tydfil County Borough Council and Caerphilly County Borough Council, with a percentage back. How long will that last for, please?
Do you mean how long before the project is operational, or how long will it operate for?
How long will it operate for?
Whatever the lifespan of those turbines are, which I would have thought would be at least 25 years.
Okay, thank you for that. 414, it mentions from Abertaf School, £900,000 savings over the life of the system. Who will benefit from these savings or income generation, as case may be?
Steve, please.
If I could ask that, Mr. Mayor. It'll be the authority and the school, I believe, in that we basically have to see exactly if there is a share so that we get some of the savings within the authority, and then the school as well, they will have some of the savings as well. So we can't really tell at this stage how that's going to work, but it's something that we can have a discussion going forward.
So there's no given split at this moment?
Not at the moment, no.
Okay, thank you for that. 422 then mentions several times about issues of funding. Is there SALEX type funding or invest to save with regard to what's required?
Sorry, did you say 422?
422, yeah.
So
several times it's mentioned funding is an issue. Bottom of the first paragraph in 422, middle of the paragraph, this next paragraph, and then so funding is mentioned as an issue.
under fleet management, that section, is that?
Sorry, no, travel and transport. Page 120 in the report.
Are the major challenges in relation to funding? Yeah, sorry, what was the question?
Is there SALEX type funding or invest to save or any other scheme available for this?
Not specifically SALEX type funding, but we have to date received funding from both WLGA and Cardiff Capital Region for the charging infrastructure.
Lovely. And following on from that one, could charging be provided for non-authority vehicles or businesses at a cost to generate an income?
Potentially is something we are considering. Obviously, we're at the start of this journey now, and our priority is to install the charging infrastructure for our own vehicles. We're looking at perhaps at the start offering it for staff, and then potentially looking at it for the wider county borough.
Yeah, I was just thinking more along the commercial lines for commercial vehicles, which the chargers would need to be bigger.
Well, the chargers that we've installed at Unit 20 are future proof. They are of really large capacity. As I say, it's not something we've looked at in any detail yet, but yeah, there's always potential there.
Okay, thank you for that one. Top of page 121, we're talking about the procurement of goods and services. Would these providers need to be on sell to Wales to provide services to the authority?
Yes, because most of our stuff is done through sell to Wales. But obviously, as you can see there, that the requirements for decarbonisation is going to also apply to our supply chain.
Yeah, so how if we look into decrease our carbon levels, do we need to have contact with all the local businesses to see if they could provide services? And that leads me on to my other question, which is, what if the local products or services are more expensive? How do we calculate the difference between carbon reduction benefit and cost?
Okay, answering the first part of your question, one of the grant schemes that we ran through yesterday in SPF is specifically about decarbonisation grants to private business. And within that, we're also employing a dedicated business support officer specifically about decarbonisation. So that person will be the dedicated contact for our, not just our supply chain, but all businesses will be able to access that support in Merthyr.
And part B?
I'm not sure.
In terms of the principle that's been discussed for a while now, how do we shorten supply chains, and can we buy local in the very nature of being able to reduce the carbon footprint of that supply? So that is definitely part of, it's not just our strategy, that's the conversation from a regional perspective, from an All Wales perspective. CCR, Cardiff City region, are looking at that as well. But the principles are there, and going back to us buy-in from an All Wales perspective and via Sell to Wales suppliers anyway, that is actually part of the challenges that are being factored in, I believe.
Yeah, but there's a potential contradiction between carbon reduction and cost to the authority. There may be something available locally that's £1 per item dearer, but it needs to be brought in from, I don't know, Swansea, Newport, Bristol, somewhere like that.
Totally understand that, and I think it's trying to understand the whole life cost of it, including the carbon tariff aspect of it. We can certainly ask procurement to give a précis to members if that would help in terms of how that's being achieved. But obviously, there's nobody available tonight to give you a detailed answer unless Julie can. I don't know whether it can assist.
Yeah, I was just going to say part of one of the themes is the procurement. I'm going to be working closely with the manager of procurement, Paul Davis. And that's one of the things we're going to look at is what we can put into specs, and also providing some help and support to businesses out there. There are lots of organisations who also provide help with carbon management plans, and that's something that will be required in the future for certain percentage or for certain cost contracts. But that's one of the next key areas really we're going to be looking at, is putting that together so there's more guidance and more information and specifications, so that we do add in more carbon savings, but at the same time it's not going to be detrimental to the cost as well, so we have a balance. But yeah, it's something we're going to be working on. It's a big area, it's a real opportunity for the authority, because that's all our future carbon emissions, is everything we procure, all goods and services in the future. So it's a really key area for us to get right.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Councillor Jones. Councillor Minor Vokes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My question's in relation to 4.2, again, page 120, 4.21 and 4.23. It's in relation to the charging points. So I've previously raised issues in relation to accessibility of the charging points. Examples being you need an app on your phone, scan a QR code, and I've been dealing with a few elderly residents and this fine print and things. I just want to ask if that's been addressed, because I have raised it previously.
I don't know personally if it's been addressed, sorry, but that's something we'd be looking at as well coming out of this strategy. The next stage is to put together an EV charging, electric vehicle charging strategy, which also addresses the capacity within the borough. And so that's things we definitely be looking at in the future.
Okay.
I don't know if anyone else can add, apologies.
So all the charging points are in place at the minute. Are they all operational that you're aware of?
If I just have a look at my notes, I got the number. I think there's around 26 at the moment, and there's a number, there's several more in development in the infrastructure underway. So they're not all operational.
Right, okay.
There is some that are planned for the future.
Okay, the ones which are not operational, I know where they are. I think residents are still driving up to try and use them. There's no signage to say there's no power to them, so I think that's something that needs to be looked at.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
That was it. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions? No. Any comments then, please? Councillor Clive Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My comments in relation to items on page 119 particularly, and it would be remiss of me as the energy champion if I didn't refer to them. I think we'll all be interested in the Penedre private wire project. I know the operative words are it's a proposal and it's the potential of a private wire agreement between the council and Cwm Taf Morgannwg Health Board. But if this happens, there will be an enormous reduction in the cost of electricity to a very large school, which is being refurbished, and certainly to the health board. I wouldn't like to say what the bill is, electricity bill in Prince Charles Hospital, but it must be absolutely enormous. So I think that's something to welcome, and hopefully we can be appraised of the progress of non-progress of that as we go along. The other one are the energy team projects, and it refers to the fact that the last 5 years, the energy team have been carrying out works to reduce energy use and carbon emissions in council buildings. I know with the work that Ian Goldsworthy and his team have been doing here, and frankly, I think we're very fortunate to have the team that we've got. And if you look at the figures there at the bottom of the page, this has resulted in a cumulative energy cost savings of approximately 1.2 million and the carbon reduction emissions of 36% compared to 2015-16 levels. I personally think that that figure is not perhaps bang up to date and is probably better than it is in the report. And the last one is the Avon Taf installation, 150 kilowatt roof mounted solar panels and a 40 kilowatt battery storage. This again will reduce the school's carbon emissions and provide approximately £900,000 savings over the life of the system. That, Mr. Mayor, must be really welcomed. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Jones. Councillor Geraint Thomas, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I support Councillor Jones and everything he just said there. He's spot on with his assessment. I welcome this decarbonisation plan. I think it's a great opportunity for the council. One, to reduce our carbon footprint, and one, to support our foundational economy in Merthyr Tydfil, our local business, because we can win-win here, can't we? You know, reduce carbon, plus keep the money in our local economy, and I think that's very important. I don't know if anyone's seen that panorama program the other day when a guy drove his electric camper van throughout the UK to the north of Scotland. And it's not just a challenge for Merthyr Tydfil, it's a challenge for everyone in Great Britain to put enough charging points in place to reduce the amount of cars that's going to, or petrol diesel cars that's going to be on the road in the future. So it's a huge challenge. And this is one I think we've got to face up to, is being on grid or off grid, because a big challenge for the infrastructure developers in the country is to get the green energy from wind turbines and solar into the grid. They just can't do it at this moment in time. There are wind turbines turning around that's just not producing any electricity whatsoever into the grid, and that's a challenge. And I think what we've got to do is become off grid. You know, if Penedre can power enough electricity through that the system they're going to have there, why not come off grid altogether, as long as you've got the battery storage? And I think that's the challenge we've got going forward as a local authority. So yeah, thank you for the report, Julie. I think it's a great report, and I can't wait to have an update on how we're performing going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Thomas. Councillor Andrew Barry, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Climate change, decarbonisation, sort of top of the shop for everybody. Evidence being R2D2 sitting in the corner over there trying to keep us all cool and couldn't. But I want to congratulate Julie and Michelle Simmons for the report. Fantastic report. It's ambitious from a Wales perspective, from a Cardiff City Deal region perspective, and certainly from our perspective in Merthyr. But I think it's not alluded to within the report, but I think an important part of this is the communication of what we are doing and how we're going about our business in decarbonisation, communicating that to the public for them to see what journey we're on and the steps we're taking forward. It's a difficult one, and you know, I've mentioned it on many occasions about the public need to buy into this journey. But unless we're communicating where we're trying to go with this, then they're in the dark. And it's all well and good us knowing within these walls that we're trying to do something, but we're doing it for the public, for the region, for the country, for the planet. And I think we need to be communicating that very effectively to say to people, we are taking this seriously. This is what it means to you. And this is where we hope to be. So I think there's an important role in communications here, Kerry, to make sure that everything that's in this report is communicated out to the public on a regular basis, or certainly over the period of this report. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Can I just come in there, Councillor Barry? There is certain elements of this report in our forthcoming Contact magazine.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other comments? No, no other comments. So we'll take that to the vote then, please.
Councillor Goldsworthy, are you voting for, against or abstaining?
For.
Thank you. Councillor Andrew Barry? And that's carried, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Next two items. Item number 7, Welsh Language Annual Monitoring Report for 2022 to 2023, and agenda item number 8, Regulation of Investigative Powers Act 2000, are both information reports. So we'll move on to agenda item 9 to deal with any other urgent business or correspondence. There is none. 10, to receive communications from their worship the Mayor. I have none. Councillor Thomas.
I wasn't going to stop you, Mr. Mayor, but I wanted to say something before we go to the exempt session, that's all.
Okay, well, before we move section 100. So we're going to move section, okay, to move section 100.
So could I say something before we go into moving section 100?
Yes, you can, yeah.
I think all members would like to thank Chris Long and Taryn Stevens for their service to the local authority. It's their last council meetings this evening, and we're very sad to see you go, really, you know, because you've been a great help to me, and I know to great help to most members, and you know, you've served this council very well. So, you know, thank you all for your service.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Councillor Thomas, and I'm sure we all second that. So, Councillor Barry.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to reiterate what Councillor Thomas has said, I mean, from Taryn's perspective, I mean, one of the most volatile budgets from a portfolio perspective in terms of finance was social services, and the fantastic work that Taryn and the team have done have gone a long way to stabilising this council and the council's future. So thank you very much, Taryn. Chris, you know I don't want you to go, but your 1 foot's on the beach already, certainly. Fantastic work, likewise, Chris, over the years. Can't thank you enough. Sorry to see you go. Wish you all the best, both of you.
Okay, thank you. Right, agenda item number 11 was exempt. In order for the following to be considered in private, it's suggested that the public be excluded from the meeting on the grounds that it involves the likely disclosure of exempt information as defined under Part 4 of Schedule 12A of Section 100A(4) of the Local Government Act 1972. Councillor Geraint-Thomas.
Could I move section 100, please, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, thank you. Is there a seconder for that?
I second, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Barry. Straight to the vote then, please.
Against or abstaining, please. Councillor Goldsworthy, can you tell us if you're voting for, against or abstaining, please?
For.
Thank you, and that's carried then, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. So before we move into the closed section, we're going to have to shut that door, I'm afraid. Thank you, Councillor Smith. Yeah.